Oh. Welcome to the Global Hope Show. We're a panel of community members and students. We discuss current events and political issues that are affecting our nation at this time. So let's go ahead and introduce today's panel.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm a Hawaii Community College student.
Hi, I'm Danny Lee, a long-time UH alumnus.
Hi, I'm Stephen Pommier. I'm a new resident of Hilo, and I'm working on starting a new community newspaper here.
I'm Mike Purvis, a UH Hilo student, citizen of planet Earth.
From Kiana Ducasa, HCC student here on campus.
Saul, HCC student, occasional citizen of planet Earth.
I'm Niels. I'm a small business owner and a lecturer at the University of Utah.
All right, guys. So,
well, to begin with, I wanted to bring up something about just how I've seen the banking and credit cards industry change, even in the small amount of my lifetime. I know my parents, back in the day, they would be, if they had a real big problem with raising interest rates, they could get on the phone with their bank and say, yell at someone in person and say, we're not going to take this, we're going to cancel all our credit cards, and there would be this reconciliation and back and forth, a compromise be made, Well, for me, I was never able to get an extension on my balance, right? Until I finally decided to go back to school. I put on like $3,000 onto my credit card, and then once I had all that debt, then I asked for, can I get a credit limit extension? That was the only time they gave it to me. It was when I was in major debt, which was interesting, but not conclusive or anything. So then recently, I got this letter saying, we're actually cutting your credit card limit from $5,000 to $1,500. Which is pretty devastating if you're a student and your car breaks down or something like that happens. And so they said, if there's this number you want to call if you disagree and you want to debate this. So I know most people just throw that in the garbage can, but I was like, I wonder what happens if you call this number. So I call the number, and I don't speak to a person, I speak to something saying, we're sorry you've decided to cancel your credit card with us. Please enter your number now, or something like that. So it's basically like we make the rules, and we don't care. You're not a person. This is just how we're going to treat you. I got something kind of funny too. This is kind of humorous actually, and this isn't something printed from the internet. This is actually sent to me. I just happened to read the fine print, and I want you guys to hear this wording. This is verbatim. So this one paragraph says, beginning February 13th, your APR on existing balances can only be raised if you do not make your minimum monthly payments within 60 days of the payment due date. Okay. Next paragraph. We can also raise your APR for future transactions, even if you are not 60 days late.
Wow.
Can you believe this? I mean, this is a First Hawaiian Bank, by the way. So, if you're really into it, then write letters and say this is ridiculous, and you can't treat us like this anymore. But that's my major topic. I don't know if you guys have had bad experiences like that.
I think your experience is very, very common. I think everybody's had this kind of interaction with the banking system in our country, and it's a major difficulty for little people. Apparently, for people now, I should call corporations people now because the Supreme Court says they can be. But AIG got an extension on their debt very recently, to the tune of $87 billion or something like this. And I don't know that they're paying any interest at all. So it's a two-phase system, and they want to have it both ways, clearly. 60 days or not 60 days.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too, how you brought up, back when your parents had an issue with the credit card companies or the banks, they would call and try to, find some sort of compromise. But right now what we're facing with the mega mergers of all these corporations is that they are too big to fail. They are too big to just wait on the phone with you and say, hey, you don't like it? Sorry, you have to cancel your credit card. It's just far too big to even be, caring about the people anymore.
Yeah, in fact, that's a really good point, because even though it's called First Hawaiian Bank, but I'm not sure if people know that it's actually part of a multinational. It's called Paribas, which is actually in France. They're the multi. And in fact, I tried a few years back. I thought, okay, well, these guys, I still have an account with them. I said, I was talking to them. I thought, well, maybe I should put some of the money to like a credit union, which is supposed to be a little bit more you have more smaller and locally. So I transferred some of the money to a new account at this Hawaii Central. But it turns out that, in fact, the check that I was trying actually had they, in turn, banked with First Hawaiian. So it's like, oh, catch-22. You're still giving money back to the big guys. The big guys still dominate.
Same with HFS. They go through Bank of Hawaii. They don't even have ATMs. It's pretty sad.
One of the most insidious things is that you were trying to do this for school.
Right.
I mean, you're trying to pay for school, and the benefits of you going to school are enjoyed by all these big corporations. They exploit you as an educated worker, big time, and they want you to pay for that and with interest.
Oh yeah.
Well, from the other perspective, just surprise, surprise. There are a lot of merging of banks and financial institutions, and there are downsides to that because you're dealing with mega corporations, and sometimes they seem very impersonal. The upside of it is there's been massive economies of scale. It's so much cheaper to borrow money now than it ever has been. Much cheaper. And you're a small businessman. I think you're a small businessman. You're starting a newspaper. I've had several businesses over the years, and the cost of money is a huge factor when you're starting a business. And right at the moment, money is very cheap. And part of the reason it is very cheap is because there are these massive economies of scale. And there are massive economies of scale because there are huge bank mergers going on. And it allows them to do that. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, the system really sucks, but I enjoy the cheap money. I mean, you get the cheap money because the system is the way it is.
It's a high cost for such a low price.
Why is it a high cost?
Because you have all these little banks being shut down and basically becoming a big Walmart bank. I mean, if you haven't seen what that's done to the rest of the economy in America, I mean, what are we doing? Like, what you're seeing is all these tiny little banks that could be flourishing, with maybe an extra 1 or 2% of percentages. You knock off those extra dollars, and now they're all one big mega corporation. And then once the competition's gone, then what's going to keep them from raising the prices?
Yeah, but they wouldn't be. That's the point. If it was a small bank and they were charging a half of 1% more than anybody else, they would be out of business in a heartbeat. I mean, that's the nature of capitalism. It's the nature of the money markets at the moment.
Well, but to say that the money is cheap is a short-term way of looking at it. Because yes, day to day it's cheap, but we're going to pay a terrible price for that. It's similar to the Walmart experience. Walmart sells everything cheap. I mean, you can go to Walmart and get everything cheap. What's that doing to our community? What's that doing to our economy? It's creating a situation where none of us will be able to afford to live soon because we can't make it on what Walmart pays us. And
I fail to see the argument. I mean, Walmart. I came to this town before Walmart existed, and everything was outrageously expensive. I mean, you couldn't buy a vacuum cleaner for less than $200 or $300. I mean, it was incredibly expensive. And Walmart opened, and all of a sudden everything became very cheap. I know you guys don't like the Walmart Corporation, and God knows they're pretty bad in certain respects, and namely their refusal to allow unions. But people's lives have been improved because of Walmart.
Since Walmart has been here, nothing has improved in our entire community.
Yeah,
the entire quality.
Cheaper. I think people can buy stuff. I mean,
people can buy cheap crap. Congratulations, but they also are being paid cheap crap. No medical benefits. There are less jobs. The employment rate has skyrocketed compared to 8 years ago before Walmart even got here. I'm not blaming it all on Walmart. I'm not saying Walmart came and now everything sucks. But I mean, we haven't seen anything in our community flourish since Walmart's got here.
Well, why don't you ever look back and see how many small mom and pop stores downtown paid benefits to their employees and what they paid them? I think you'd find out that the market is the market, and the Walmart is. Their salaries are not that bad. I mean, I don't know why they get slammed for being cheapskates when it comes to it, but they pay their employees, the market rate.
Low poverty, yeah.
It's a very good debate, and what I'm saying is that if you look at the long range, if you look at over time what's happened, people's benefits over a long period of time have gone way up. People have got weekends off very often. People have got a chance to get health care in their job. Many, many years ago, it was not even an opportunity. And so I'm talking about that kind of long range. And I'm looking down the pike at 20 years from now,